These real people summoned evil demons that were scarier than the devil himself. The case of Kenneth Anger, the Hollywood occultist. Now, Kenneth Anger, an underground filmmaker in 1960s Hollywood, known for his films like Fireworks and Scorpio Rising, as well as his book Hollywood Babylon, was a self-proclaimed occultist, drawing inspiration from Aleister Crowley's Thelema and exploring themes of transgression and the dark side of Hollywood. He was actually quite obsessed with Aleister Crowley, who infamously called himself the B666. Anger wasn't just a fan, he followed Crowley's rituals, studied his books, and conducted real summoning ceremonies. Now, one of his closest collaborators, Bobby Beausoleil, claimed Anger attempted to summon the demon Lucifer during one of their ritual film shoots in the desert. Things spiraled. Beausoleil would later become part of the Manson family and commit assassinations. Crazy connection, I know. Anger himself descended into a strange madness, reportedly speaking in tongues, destroying his own films, and claiming to be possessed by demonic forces he had invited in. Whether you see it as madness, coincidence, or proof of something darker, Anger's life was never the same after those rituals. Anger's work is celebrated for its artistic vision, its exploration of transgressive themes, and its connection to the history of counterculture and the occult. The Exorcism of Anna Ecklund. Now, the girl who invited it in, Anna Ecklund, which was actually a pseudonym for Emma Schmidt, was a young American woman in the early 20th century who reportedly became possessed after experimenting with occult practices encouraged by her aunt, who was said to be practicing witchcraft. Now, this is an urban legend. Her 1928 exorcism in Iowa is one of the most thoroughly documented in the Catholic Church history. She alleged, demonic possession and exorcism occurred over several decades, culminating in an extensive exorcism that lasted from August 18th to December 23rd, 1928 in Erling, Iowa. Now, Ecklund was said to have exhibited symptoms, akin to possession beginning at age 14 and was 46 years old during her final exorcism by Father Theophilus Resinger, a Roman Catholic priest. Now, witnesses, claimed Anna levitated, spoke languages she had never learned, and exhibited unnatural strength. For 23 days, priests performed rites to banish what they said were multiple demons, including Beelzebub and Judas Iscariot. Now, according to records, Anna had tried to summon a spirit to communicate with her deceased mother. What she got was something else entirely. She survived, but never fully recovered. Her case was cited for decades as a warning against dabbling in summoning or spiritualism. Now, Ecklund's case is considered by theology and paranormal scholars to be one of the most abundantly documented cases of possession in the 20th century, including a profile in a 1936 issue of Time magazine. The Charlie Challenge. In 2015, a viral game called the Charlie Challenge swept the internet. Teenagers everywhere were placing pencils on paper and calling on Charlie, a supposed Mexican demon or spirit. Now, this game / internet urban legend of sudden and inexplicable popularity surged to the top of the global social media charts after kicking around on the Spanish language internet for much of eternity. Now, as of me even saying this right now, hashtag Charlie Challenge has been tweeted more than 1.6 million times. More people are Googling Charlie than virtually any other news event. Now, while it's hard to pin down an exact country of origin, Charlie has a long history as a schoolyard game in the Spanish-speaking world. Traditionally, this version with the cross pencils was called the Juego de la Lapicera, a term that still turns up lots of creepy stuff on Google, and Charlie was a distinct game played with colored pencils. At some point in their internet and playground travels, the two games seem to have merged. In either case, both have always had a demonic or supernatural connotations. One site calls La Picera the poor man's Ouija board. Now, most teens trying Charlie laughed it off as just harmless fun until one incident in the Dominican Republic. A group of students performed the challenge at school. One girl began screaming uncontrollably, claiming she couldn't move her body. Several several others fainted or started vomiting. Paramedics were called. Local authorities, declared a temporary school shutdown, saying the children were suffering from mass, hysteria. But priests were brought in as well. A few of the children were never the same after that. Some refused to sleep indoors, claiming something was watching them. One even attempted to take their own life weeks later, saying, "Charlie won't let me go." It was easy to dismiss at first, but the deeper you dig, the more similar reports you find across Latin America during that period. The demon of Loftus. Now, this is the visitor that never left. The history of Loftus Hall, a large mansion house that's located along the Hook Peninsula, goes back through the centuries. The original hall was built in 1350 by the Redmond family during the time of the Black Death. Now, it was known as Redmond Hall until the 1650s, when it was given to English planters, the Loftus family, and from then on was known as Loftus Hall. Now, Loftus Hall is rumored to be, Ireland's most haunted house. The large country house is built on the site where the original Redmond Hall was once located. People believe that the hall was visited by the devil himself, but his presence is not the only one that wanders the halls of this impressive building. In the 18th century, in Ireland's Loftus Hall, a noble family received a very mysterious visitor. A storm, brought a well-dressed man to their door. He was polite, very handsome, charming, but one night while playing cards, Lady Anne Tottenham dropped one of her cards on the floor, and when she looked under the table, she saw the man's feet were not human, but hooves. She screamed, of course. He vanished in a flash of fire and smoke. Now, the family believed he was a demon she had accidentally summoned during private, seances that she held out of grief for her passed on lover. Now, Lady Anne was never the same. She became violent, was locked in a room, and she actually passed away in isolation. Now, visitors still say her ghost and the energy of that entity remains. Now, Loftus Hall is considered one of the most haunted places in Europe. The building, which stands today, was heavily renovated between 1872 and 1879 in preparation for a visit from Her Majesty Queen Victoria. The visit, though, never happened, and the Loftus family were left with huge debt following the major work carried out on the building. The last of the surviving Loftus family passed away back in 1890, and the bankrupt estate was actually put up for sale. In 2011, the house was sold to its current owners, the Quigley family. Now, the family have secured the structure and are, regenerating the walled gardens, the courtyard, and house to ensure the future of the Loftus Halls for the next generations. The Diary of Jake McKinnon, a Reddit ritual that went terribly wrong. In 2018, a Reddit user under the handle MCK_Jake posted a series of updates in the r-no sleep community about a summoning ritual he claimed to be trying. It started off as fiction, or so it seemed. He said he was following a grimoire, that he bought on the dark web, trying to summon a demon named Turan. The first few posts were funny, but then the tone shifted. He claimed the lights in his apartment would flicker, objects would move on their own, and he just couldn't sleep. In one video, you could see a shadowy figure pass behind him. Now, the final post said, "I messed up. I didn't bind it. I didn't follow the rules. I don't know how to send it back." Jake McKinnon's account went dark after that. A user tried to track him down through IP logs and emails, only to find the address linked to a police report about a man that was found passed away in his apartment surrounded by occult symbols. His face was said to be frozen in a look of terror. Now, to this day, some people claim the entity that he named Turan has shown up, in other rituals since. Many people debated his story and claims, though, because according to Etruscan mythology, Turan is a goddess, not a demon. She's the goddess of love, beauty, and fertility, often associated with the Greek goddess Aphrodite. She is frequently depicted as a young winged girl, embodying the grace and allure that, the Etruscans kind of revered. Now, whatever the case is, the story is creepy and concerning, and to this day, no one can seem to get a hold of Jake and know about his whereabouts. Which of these stories freaked you out the most? Have you ever tried to summon a demon of your own? Let me know. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Ashley. Until next time, stay scared.